Please be seated. I know that it's very warm today, and it's going to get even much more so. So if any of you feel faint or maybe need some help, just raise your hand. We have the campus supervision people ready and able to assist you, and there are some seats down here where it might be a little bit cooler. So please, if you need help, raise your hand. Welcome to the commencement exercise of the class of 95. I hope you noticed when you arrived today that there is yet another flag, a white one with blue, yellow, and red on it, flying alongside Old Glory. This flag represents learning and liberty, and it represents excellence in education. This is the first time that we've had the opportunity to fly this flag. We're able to do so, compliments of the SAD group, who put up the flagpole for us and gave us the first opportunity to use that. The class of 95 is the 113th to graduate from Alpena High School. And this is the 29th class to graduate, though, from this building. And this class will be remembered for a variety of reasons. The first one, most important to me, is that this is the class that represents the time that we both graduate. I used to kid people and say that I've been here for many years and never graduated, but this is my year too. For you, it seems like maybe 4 long years, and for me, it's 28 short and wonderful ones. I am proud and grateful to have been a teacher and an administrator here at Alpena High School for these past 28 years, and part of the education of some of America's finest youth. You will be remembered as a good class, a mature, well-mannered, well-disciplined, fun-loving, and very bright class. Your class has been academically very successful. Your MEP scores, the ACT, and your grades are excellent, which shows that there is great potential in this, the smallest class in recent history. As the saying goes, good things come in small packages. Spearheaded by the National Honor Society, this class will also be remembered as the one involved in the construction of the Memorial Garden. It is dedicated to those young people who never lived long enough to fulfill their dreams. It is my wish and desire, and that of the entire community, that all of you will fulfill your dreams. To accomplish this, you will need a vision and a plan and set some lofty goals. When you set your goals, be sure to differentiate them between short-term and long-term ones, and then develop some strategies to help you reach your goals and along the path of life. And as you reach these goals, be sure to set new ones for you. And if you do these things, you will find that life will be a success and that you will indeed realize your dreams. As your principal, I wish you peace, love, happiness, and success. And as a parent and a member of this community, may God protect you in all the years to come. Each year, the graduates of Alpena High elect a teacher to be their Teacher of the Year. And this year's Teacher of the Year is Mr. Paul Bray.
Thank you. Parents, relatives, colleagues, members of the school board and administration, and most especially the class of 95. I'm honored to be speaking here this afternoon, doubly so since my daughter is a member of this outstanding group of graduates. I'd like to say at the outset that if indeed our children are our futures, then no one in this room has anything to fear from the 21st century. Before I get to the serious stuff, however, I'd like to take a second to thank the young man in one of my classes last week who came to me and said that should I find myself stuck for a subject for my speech today, that all I had to do was look in a floor-length mirror. A few days ago, finding myself so stuck, I took his advice and wandered upstairs to the mirror. I was sort of puzzled by what I saw. I was pretty sure he didn't want a gray speech. And I was also sure that he wanted neither a receding nor a portly speech. After serious study, I came to the conclusion that what this young fellow had indeed wanted was a short speech. As a result, my original speech found its way into the circular file, and everyone here can thank this young wag that my comments this afternoon won't take any more than 45 or 50 minutes. As I began to mull over various subjects that might be acceptable for a graduation presentation, I found myself being confronted by a couple of persistent images from my past, one of which was an ancient Halloween mask, and the other something that resembled a speeding black rock. Eventually, I gave up trying to fight these images and decided to let them govern what I'd say today. So what follows as a result? When I was in second grade, I had a friend whose name was Steve Willis. We were best friends. And of course, in the second grade, that means a lot. We chased girls across the no man's land between the teeter-totters and the swings. We pulled frogs and turtles from the local mill pond, and we enlivened our second grade teacher, Miss Aggie's days, with questions such as, why doesn't water clot? And why can't dog be spelled D-A-G, if both parties have agreed in advance that the animal being referred to has 4 legs, a tail, and barks? But one day we had a fight. I forget about what, but angry words were exchanged. Steve stalked home. It wasn't long before I realized that I was going to have to apologize, because without my friend in the world, in one afternoon had become, to quote the great Snoopy, a dark and stormy night. So I determined that I would apologize, but I also determined that I wouldn't go as myself. So later that day, as I walked down the street to my friend's house, I wore a Frankenstein mask and a bath towel cape. When I arrived, Steve's mother, a sort of stoic soul, showed no surprise at finding a stubby midsummer monster on her front porch. Instead, she called Steve, and who started toward me, took one look at me, and immediately raced from the room, leaving me feeling, at the very least, silly. A couple moments later, though, he returned, dressed as the Lone Ranger, complete in Stetson, black mask, cap gun, and holster. That afternoon, Mary Shelley's monster apologized to the savior of the American West, and the two of them left for the nearest pass to cut off turtles, teachers, or girls, whichever fell into their clutches first. The point behind this, of course, is never be afraid to apologize if friendship's at stake, and more importantly, never be too proud to accept words of reconciliation, even if their source is dressed like an escapee from a poor man's Tales of the Crypt. Several years later, my family moved to Boyne City, a small town about 100 miles from Alpena. It was in Boyne City that I learned to play baseball at a field called Veterans Park. It was a wonderful field, completely absent of umpires or any adult supervision whatsoever. Like all such parks, it had its own set of rules. The trees behind first base, if reached in the air, were an automatic double. Those down the third base line were an automatic home run. And any balls that hit the outhouse just off the third base line were only foul if they stayed foul. Any carom back onto the field was still playable. This rule lent a whole new dimension to playing third base. A good glove and a strong arm were of secondary importance to the ability to judge outhouse bank shots. But what was perhaps the most interesting aspect of baseball at Veterans Park was the makeup of our teams. In violation of every rule of fairness ever put forth by men of goodwill, our teams were segregated, not by race, but by age. Thus, fifth graders played on a fifth grade team. sixth graders with sixth graders, and so on up through the ninth and occasionally even the 10th grades. As a result, it wasn't unusual to reply to parental inquiries about how the day's game had gone by claiming, "Not bad. The seventh graders only beat us 50-2. We're getting better." Such admissions, painful as they were still preferable to complaining to our parents about the unfairness of life at the park. Our parents had endured both the Great Depression and World War II. And about the 25th time you hear that life is unfair, you get the message, sort of. But things finally changed the summer I was 12. That summer, thousands of runs behind the older players, those of us on the younger teams brought a modicum of balance to the Veterans Park League. We managed this by insisting on two things: that the games be played in the evening rather than in the morning or midday, and that all games had to be played with tape balls, ancient hardcore balls wrapped in sticky black electrical tape. Although they grumbled, the older players eventually agreed. Like any pack of predators, they knew they needed prey to survive. The impact of the tape baseballs on our games was immediate. Because the tape attracted grit the way a magnet attracts iron filings, our balls soon weighed enough that pitching velocity became a meaningless concept. Our best pitchers, to borrow a term from track and field, sort of put the ball toward home plate, where few batters risked shattering their bats or their hands by swinging away at those black rocks. Defensively, charging a ground ball or camping beneath a high pop-up became acts of valor, as black tape balls skittered through shadows and dropped like invisible boulders from evening skies, redefining the whole concept of night baseball. We still lost most of our games, but seldom by any more than a dozen runs, and lumps and bruises were democratically distributed throughout Boyne City's ball-playing population. However, briefly and painfully, we brought a bit of fairness to a patently unfair situation. Much has been written about the wisdom that comes with age. I certainly hope this is true, because for a few years at least, I'd like to be a little bit smarter than my wife. But I honestly believe that we're never wiser than when we are children. Children know that good friends are irreplaceable, and that even though unfairness and injustice are prevalent, they should never prevail. The only valuable advice I can give to those of you about to graduate today is to pause occasionally and listen to the child within each one of you when he or she tries to remind you of who you've been, so that you'll have a clearer sense of who you're becoming. In 1806, the English poet William Wordsworth penned the following lines: "My heart leaps up when I behold a rainbow in the sky. So was it when my life began. So is it now. I am a man. So be it when I shall grow old, or let me die. The child is father of the man. And I could wish my days to be bound each to each in natural piety." Thank you.
Mr. Brian Bronson, principal of Alpena High School, would you please step forward? The class of 1995 and the faculty of Alpena High wish to commend you for your 28 years of service to this school and to wish you well on the next exciting young chapter of your career. To that end, may I introduce from the Community Partnership for Prevention, Bonnie Erlob and Tim Shafto, please.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate the class of 95, their family and friends, teachers, and the community. You know, it's said that it takes a whole community to raise a child. And from where I stand here today, I think we've done a pretty good job. Our hats off to the class of 95. One of the many activities that the partnership is involved in is recognizing people for their outstanding efforts in the area of substance abuse prevention. And Brian is well aware of this program, and it seemed fitting that he not get away from the school before we recognize him for his efforts. These awards can be given either to individuals, to organizations, or groups. And nominations can come from anyone. In this particular situation, Brian, the nomination came from a peer, and I don't think there's probably any greater honor that you could receive. Let me tell you a little bit about the criteria that goes into effect for these nominations. There are several questions that we pose to people to look at. Did the effort attempt to change individuals or community beliefs and practices which lead to the abuse of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs? Did it bring people together to look at problems and create solutions? Did it raise the level of understanding and awareness of the problem in the community? Did it provide safe and healthy alternatives? Did it model behavior which demonstrates that individuals, families, groups, and/or communities can function well and have fun without abusing alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs? And from where I stand, Brian, you've met all of these criteria. When I first came to the partnership, I had pretty good relationships with the elementary schools. My kids were in elementary schools, and I knew people fairly well there. But I really did not have well-established relationships in the senior high. And I sought out an individual in the community whom I respected, who I thought could give me some hints about who in the school would be supportive of substance abuse prevention efforts. And interestingly enough, this person named two people, Brian, and you were one of them. And that advice has never let me down. In my 20 years, Brian, of working in the prevention field, I've worked with a lot of school administrators. And I can honestly say I've never enjoyed the support that I have from you. So congratulations. And I will never forget something you told me when I came to you to start the Natural Helpers program. I said, Brian, what do you think about this program? And he said, Tim, if it's good for kids, we'll do it. And he stood by that every inch of the way. And now I'd like to introduce Bonnie Erlob, who is the chairperson for the Board of Delegates for the partnership, to present you with your award.
I am very proud to present this award to Brian. I have known him for 28 years as my son's chemistry teachers, as a fellow teacher myself at the college, and now as an administrator for Alpena High. And I know that the kids that you're going to be working with at Sunset are going to be very lucky to have you. The award reads, the Community Partnership for Prevention recognizes Brian Bronson for his courageous and innovative leadership, which has encouraged the community and school staff to work together in making the welfare of students their #1 priority. The legacy Brian Bronson leaves Alpena High School will be immeasurable, because we will never know which or how many teenage lives have been saved or changed as a result of his tireless dedication and advocacy. Thank you, Brian, for your efforts with the partnership, with Kaput, SAD, the Winner's Circle, Natural Helpers, the Student Assistance Assessment Counseling Services, the Elementary School Success Program, and DARE. Congratulations.
And now, Mr. Bronson, the choir would like to dedicate this rendition of the alma mater to you.
We
Thank you. That was especially beautiful. And now the choir will sing Sail On by Cynthia Gray.
If you people would like to read the second of our next song, and then give a message to all seniors from
Thank you again. That was absolutely wonderful. Such talent in this school is fantastic. Each year, students vie for the right to be able to speak to their fellow graduates at commencement. And this year, like no other, there were a number of people who competed, and it made the selecting of the two to speak today very difficult, and that makes it even more rewarding. Our two speakers are Andy Gammons and Michelle McEwen, and the first speaker today is Michelle McEwen.
Distinguished school board members, AHS staff, parents, guests, and especially the class of 1995, welcome to graduation day. It is a day that we, the class of 95, have been waiting for years, and we finally made it. Here we sit, waiting to receive our diplomas, waiting patiently, yet looking forward to our lives ahead. As our class motto says, life is like a walk on the beach, as close to the water's edge as we can get. We are living on the edge, cautiously counting every step. In 1 hour, we will be walking out of this school for good, never again to be back as students. We are perplexed, yet looking forward to our lives ahead. As our lives took this walk, we have made many friends, friends that will never be forgotten, experienced the hardships that come with growing up, and loving every minute of our high school careers. We love it because of moments like this. We realize now that the hard work is paying off. Someday, we will look back on these years and see how great they really were. As we walk out these doors today, we will begin yet another walk down that same stretch of beach, heading into the world unknown, going to college, trade school, or the service, going to work, being on our own and being grown up, realizing now what life really is and how difficult things can get. We may not see it now, but we are frightened. We now have to be adults and face every challenge that beach has to offer. And we have to say goodbye. Goodbye to this school, our teachers, and our classmates. Today is a paradox. On one hand, we are scared, but on the other, it is a day of release and excitement. It is the last time we will be together as classmates, but we will always have the memories. Education is the key to success, and we will be successful because of the education we received here at AHS. Now, going to class day after day for 4 years was rough, and it may not have been the math or reading skills that we learned, but it was the life skills that are the keys to our future, and we owe it all to that stretch of beach that we call high school. Our life is like a walk on the beach, as close to the water's edge as we can get. There is only one beach, one walk, and most importantly, one life. Let's live it to the fullest. We have been called a generation that is fearful of the future, and rightly so. But I believe that we have what it takes to face our challenges head on and to vault our nation into the 21st century, which will pave the way for future generations. Congratulations, class of 1995. Let's walk on that beach with confidence and pride. Thank you.
Michelle, that was absolutely excellent. And our next person is Andy Gammons.
Members of the Board of Education, Alpena High School administration, respected faculty, family, parents, friends, and fellow classmates. Our generation has become known as Generation X, the generation of misfits, slackers, and whiners. Is this accurate? Maybe. Is it alterable? Most definitely. Is it just our generation that is in trouble? I don't think so. The whole world is at a breaking point. Baseball players are making in excess of $1 million a year and asking for more. Last year, alternative music star Kurt Cobain, who many thought had everything, took his own life. Members of the clergy are being accused of molesting children. Our role models are disintegrating. The divorce rate in the U.S. is at an all-time high. Our families are crumbling. In April of this year, a killer struck in Oklahoma City, murdering 168 people. Babies are being slaughtered by the thousands in abortion clinics throughout the states. Our values are indiscernible. So where is the hope? Charles Colson, former presidential aide to Richard Nixon, says that the hope is not in those who govern us, or what laws are passed, or what great things we do as a nation. I believe that our hope exists in the potential that lies in the heart of each and every individual in the audience today. The potential to make correct moral decisions that will not only lead to a life of true happiness, but will also truly change our world. The next 10 years of our lives will be some of the most important on our way to reaching that end. We will be making decisions that will determine whether or not we can break the trend that has been set. We will be choosing colleges, choosing careers, and choosing a mate. To be able to make these choices correctly, we must have some definite moral parameters to guide us. Our country has strayed from the Judeo-Christian values that it was founded upon. There are no absolutes anymore. Anything goes. Paul Harvey, the famous columnist and radio personality, made this statement about where we should find our morals. Spaceship Earth came with a book of instructions. Let's see what it says. It says we should not be slothful in business. In fact, it says, he who does not work, let him not eat. It says that women should wear modest apparel. It says don't steal anything. It says don't get drunk, period. It says you sleep only with your own wife. It says you do what you ought, not what you want. And for those whose consciences are anesthetized, it specifies which is which. In other words, if that rule book were not divinely inspired, it would still be the best blueprint for an orderly existence. To truly pull our society out of the ashes, we must return to the virtues that Mr. Harvey speaks of. On July 4th, 1852, Frederick Douglass, one of our nation's leading abolitionists, delivered a speech in Rochester, New York. He spoke of the atrocities against his fellow black man, but his words still ring true today. At a time like this, scorching iron, not convincing argument, is needed. Oh, had I the ability, and could I reach the nation's ear, I would today pour out a fiery steam of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, writhing sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and its crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced. That arousal of conscience can start today with us, the 1995 graduating class of Alpena High School. And if we can apply the morals that I have spoken of today in our lives and in our upcoming decisions, we will not only disprove the stereotype of Generation X, but we will become known as the generation that saved America. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Very good indeed. And now the senior girls of the concert choir will sing for us, "We Shared a Dream." Thank you, ladies. That was, again, wonderful. I've been asked to announce that TCI Cable will be showing a replay of today's commencement exercise on Cable Channel 9, and they will be showing that tonight at 7:30 and on Tuesday evening at 7:30 as well. Now, as we move towards the presentation of the diplomas, please remember, though it's an exciting time and you may wish to cheer when you hear the name of someone you love, please do not do that. And the reason is that each and every person deserves to have their name read and heard by everyone, okay? So save the cheers to the end. I now present the 113th graduation class of Alpena High School for graduation as of today, June 4th, 1995. The graduation class numbers 341. The members of the class have fulfilled the requirements for graduation as set forth by the Board of Education. Therefore, as high school principal and representative of the Alpena High School faculty, I now recommend the class for graduation to Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Lee Sandy.
Thanks, Brian. It is with pleasure that I extend recognition and congratulations to the Alpena High School class of 1995. At this time, I recommend to the Board of Education President Tom Ritter that the members of this graduating class be awarded their diplomas. Mr. Ritter.
Thank you, Lee. On behalf of the Board of Education, I wish to take this opportunity to congratulate the class of 1995 on completing this part of your education. We also wish you a very happy and successful future on behalf of the Board of Education. In recognition of the members of the class of 1995 having fulfilled the requirements for graduation, I, on behalf of the Board of Education, now accept the class for graduation from Alpena High School. Will the first row of graduates please rise?
Michelle Marie McEwen.
Andrew Brady Gammons.
Brian Dale Yarch.
Peter Frederick Jennings Clute.
Marina Mercado Mora.
Julie Caroline Marsico.
Lisa Ann Smagelski.
Amy Jo Lesky.
Jessica Ann Welch.
Joanna Lynn Levichik.
Jennifer Marie Gagne.
Stacy Meredith Precord.
Jason Earl Colleen.
Angela Sue Moulter.
Stephen Paul Crockett.
Laura Beth Marsico.
Kristen Ellen Lovey.
Kathy Ann Ellsworth.
Darcy Bain Weeks.
Rachel M. Millspaw.
Carrie Lynn Gashevich.
Michelle Ann Meisel.
Benjamin P. Jordan.
Lori Lynn Shikuski.
Sarah Elizabeth Abeldinger.
Christine Ann Cook.
Catherine Ruth Adams.
Michelle Lynn Curley.
Christian O'Brien Adams.
Mary Jean Livermore.
Gordon E. Adams.
Deborah Nicole Dean.
Brian Dale Allen.
Laura K. Curley.
Timothy Walter Allen.
Robert G. Bach.
Michelle Marie Amlott.
Tammy Marie Bamel.
Eric John Anderson.
Terry Lynn Barton.
Emily Rose Ayton.
Warren Clifford Bays.
Roger W. Bailing.
Beth Ann Belding.
Michelle Laura Bartley.
Michael T. Benson.
Jennifer Lynn Bates.
Jason Lee Buys.
Jennifer Marie Bedford.
Mark Aaron Bobolts.
Jennifer Ray Beamet.
Courtney Parks Bray.
Melanie Marie By.
Eric Keith Berlinski.
Jeremy David Blue.
Michelle Lynn Byers.
Eric Matthew Bach.
John William Carr.
Brian Allen Berlinski.
Christopher Carl Carter.
Sarah Jean Burns.
Richard W. Shalati.
Jason D. Carr.
Everett Wilbur Cluley.
Stacy S. Shabbat.
Christy Lynn Connon.
Michael Robert Clark.
Chad Michael Kramer.
Victor P. Cook.
Jason R. Crivier.
Melinda Lee Cripps.
Carrie Lynn DeKett.
Jeffrey Douglas Clute.
Brian Michael Dion.
Corey M. Curtis.
Danielle Renee Domrays.
Jamie Marie Crudden.
Adam Francis Dempsey.
Kathleen Ann Doherty.
Elijah James Dagan.
Monica Joy Delisle.
Melissa Jean Donikuski.
Nicole Lynn Donikuski. May we remind you, please do not applause and make comments or jeer between names. Everybody deserves to hear their name heard. Thank you.
Rebecca Lee Dorr.
Andrew David Downs.
Jamie Marie Doyle.
Rebecca Suzanne Doyle.
Amy Lynn Doobie.
Kurt D. Doobie.
Farah Ann Dazinski.
Christina Marie Eaton.
Kara Joy Igelski.
Teresa Marie Igelski.
Chad James Erickson.
Greg S. Erickson.
Kelly Marie Erickson.
Eric Eugene Evans.
Leah Faith.
Allison Marie Field.
Melissa Ann Featherston.
Carrie Lee Frey.
Melissa A. Ferrier.
Bradley John Gagne.
Denise Marie Forster.
Shannon Marie Gagne.
Silke Kerstin Fürhoff.
Christopher Lee Gapsky.
Charles H. Gallagher.
Brian Joseph Garrett.
Melissa Lynn Gapsky.
Matthew Dale Grabo.
Matthew H. Gibbons.
Dan W. Haight.
Amy Jo Golder.
Robert John Hamp II.
Nicole Lynn Golbeck.
Rachel Michelle Hansen.
Benjamin David Goujon.
Ned Heath.
Gerald Allen Grohusky.
Sarah Jane Holinsky.
Amy Marie Hall.
Sarah Jane Herrick.
Nikki Ann Hampshire.
Clint D. Howard.
Brett Douglas Heimke.
Carmen Marie Hugler.
Richard J. Hensky.
Ryan L. Isaacs.
Ayumi Hata.
Hillary Ann Johnson.
Stephanie Ann Huffam.
Joel Allen Kaiser.
Amy Christine Jacobson.
Stephanie Ann Kamishak.
Michael Allen Jones.
Harry James Kane.
Terry Lee Jor.
Stephen J. Kajabaski.
Heather Louise Kaminsky.
Carl E. Chemnitz.
Evan S. Kane.
Lana Barbara Kalashewski.
Michael Bruce Kane.
Sue Ann Klein.
Bradley Michael Kaufman.
Shannon Lynn Konetsny.
Rhea Lynn Kinjorski.
Jeffrey Michael Kowalski.
Greg Allen Kirchhoff.
Kelly Marie Kowalski.
Matthew Scott Koken.
Corey Allen Kronyak.
Tony Michael Kolneski.
Douglas John Krentz.
Amy Lynn Kowalski.
Matthew John Kruger.
Michelle Lynn Kowalski.
Kimberly A. Kukla.
Kelly Marie Kraft.
Jennifer J. Lacrosse.
Laura Jean Kroniak.
Jennifer S. Lehman.
David Patrick Kroll.
Christy Ann Laney.
Amy Marie Kuchma.
Katrina Marie LaRush.
Jennifer LaBelle.
Janelle Lynn Lessinger.
Rebecca Ann LaFelt.
Michelle Lynn Laterno.
Adele Lynn LeMay.
Kathy Jo Levitt.
Julie Ann Lanway.
Martha Joy Lindsay.
Keith Allen Lem.
Brant Arthur Loshinsky.
Danielle Lee Lesky.
Holly Melissa Mace.
James Thomas Levitt.
Mike Victor Mayo.
Janelle K. Lieski.
Travis Manning.
Aaron James Levichik.
Melody Ann Murata.
John Roderick Mail.
Amy J. Martin.
Anna Marie Manente.
Aaron Ray Nellie McDonald.
Danielle M. Mark.
Kenneth Arthur McQuarrie.
Jeffrey John Marshall.
Charles David Meinzinger.
Keith Scott Martinez.
Andrea Sue Metzke. Stephen D. Miller.
Crystal McKee.
Jill Marie Modrak.
Scott D. McQuarrie.
Beth A. Nearing.
Amy S. Mertz.
Nathan Paul Neiman.
Ivy Mae Miller.
Jolene Marie Nowak.
Tanya Ann Minnick.
Michelle Ann Nutt.
Julia Ann Nail.
Jada Lynn Olson. Laura Elizabeth Onswetter. Elizabeth Ann Orlowski.
Bobby Lee Nearing.
Heidi Lynn Owens.
Kelly Ann Newhouse.
Nicole K. Padden.
Joshua Charles Nowak.
Jeremy Floyd Patzer.
Brooke Marie Oliver.
Ryan Michael Pierce.
Todd M. O'Neill.
Amber Lynn Peterson.
Melanie M. Orban.
Todd Michael Pyshinsky.
Tanya Owen.
Heather Nicole Prevost.
Andrew Benjamin Pad.
Michael Thomas Przlowski.
Christy Lynn Pinkman.
Carrie Patricia Ruther.
Lisa Elizabeth Pauley.
Michael Allen Ritchie.
Vanessa Evelyn Perez.
Evan D. Robarge.
Heather Lee Peterson.
Monica Lynn Rondo.
Joel Tate Ortricus.
Eric M. Rulo.
Tricia Ann Price.
Jamie L. Roy.
James Patrick Mason Quinn.
Maria Ruiz.
Andrea E. Rich.
Sarah Ann Saberin.
Alicia Lynn Roach.
Stacy Ray Sauls.
Amanda Sue Robinette.
Stephen E. Schoon.
Sabrina Lynn Rosacci.
Timu Tuomas Stepanon.
Jan Marie Rouleau.
Jody B. Simpson.
Ryan Raymond Roy.
Belinda Ruth Smith.
Sherry Lee Rigwowski.
Paula Smith.
Heidi Lee St. Charles.
Stephen M. Smolinski.
David Andrew Schaefer.
Kevin A. Spafford.
Sarah Lynn Krafschick.
Sabrina Ann Spencer.
Jason Allen Schramm.
Thomas Joseph St. Charles.
Jessica Ann Senchuk.
Mark Andrew Stima.
Alicia Shields.
Jeremy Dale Stepaniak.
Michael William Smith.
Chelsea Amber Stepansky.
Jason Ralph Smolinski.
Tamara A. Stone.
Christy Lynn Sommerfeld.
Ronald Lee Sushek II.
Amy Marie Spencer.
Jeremy Adam Teal.
Larry Skrebnick.
Mariah Lee Tetzloff.
Corey Lee Standen.
Anthony A. Thompson.
Eric Paul Stepaniak.
Holly K. Thompson.
Joshua Eli Stepaniak.
Allison Marie Tolan.
Trevor Michael Storms.
Sean Thomas Troy.
John David Sylvester.
Melanie Ann Tufts.
Michelle Marie Tesmer.
Mark Thomas Van Mazenhove.
Christopher John Thompson.
Jennifer Lynn Walton.
Elizabeth Ann Trahan Gabriel.
Jeffrey Allen Waholick.
David Russell Tolan.
Christina Marie Waterman.
Matthew David Tolan.
Robin Lynn Worley.
Ellen Spencer Tracy.
Carrie Ann Werda.
Jennifer Kate Trelfa.
Carrie Beth Williard.
Michael Lee Tuthwat.
Todd D. Vicarius.
Chet Dennis Tyson.
Jeffrey Dale Wirgo.
Farah Sue Wallen.
Jeffrey John Wisniewski.
Keith Richard Worth.
Michael John Voigt.
Ronald John White II.
Kenneth Allen Wooster Jr.
Rudolph Wilkie.
L. John Watashik.
Jeffrey A. Wilson.
Michelle Lee Zan.
Stacy Lynn Wergau.
Michael A. Zill.
Marlena Joan Wismiller. Heather Ann Wool. Jennifer Mary Worm. Casper T. Wertsmith. Tasha Lynn Zaski. Jennifer Lynn Zetlau.
Will the graduates please stand and turn your tassels?